4 things you need to know about. We can spend hours on this, and maybe we will over time, but today I just have 4 things you need to know about when it comes to this potential Wuhan lab leak. 4 points you need to know, and then of course you can come to whatever conclusion you want. Very first, you are now no longer alone in questioning the obvious. Among many others, these are two top-notch virologists, Jesse Bloom and Ralph Barrick. Ralph Barrick, he in particular did gain-of-function experiments. Gain-of-function are a controversial type of experiments. The federal government actually mandated a pause in them back in 2000, I think it was 17 or 18. A gain-of-function experiment is when researchers take a virus and they make it worse. They make it more virulent. They make it more deadly in order to get ahead of it and try to figure out how to prevent it from naturally getting worse. Right, so it's called a gain-of-function experiment. So Ralph Barrick, he did gain-of-function research with Shi Zhengli, who is the head of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and they worked together in 2015. So for him to question his partner's laboratory and that lab may have leaked COVID, that's a big deal. It's worth noting too that Chinese virologist I just mentioned, when she first heard that a coronavirus was out in Wuhan, her first thought was, uh-oh, I bet it came from the lab. And she's admitted that publicly, but then she's come back and said, but it definitely didn't. And I'm sure the communists had nothing to do with influencing her messaging, right? Anyway, this is these 2 virologists, guys. They say, I've joined 17 other scientists in calling for further investigation of COVID origins, including objective consideration of both accidental lab leak and natural zoonosis, which is just naturally occurring. So first point, you're not alone in questioning this anymore. That's comforting. Point 2, this has been a concern, a known concern, lab leak, for a long time. And not just lab leaks in general. We've talked about this before, that like if you asked me how many viruses escape from labs every year, I'd be like, oh, like none? like 0? Maybe 1 a year, maybe? No, it's often. And we'll have to do it. We can do another segment on that to refresh our memory, but it's something like 1 every 3 days or something absurd. Like it happens all the time. Now, obviously not to this extent, right? But it happens frequently. Right? Now, that's generally, right? Lab leaks have been a concern, but even specifically, our own State Department, starting in 2018, wrote multiple memos about the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We have one of them right here. This was the first one. This is the one from 2018. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, its current productivity is limited by a shortage of the highly trained technicians and investigators required to safely operate a BSL-4, it's Biosafety Lab 4, that's the highest level, and lack of clarity in related Chinese government policies and guidelines. Okay, that is from a State Department memo from the embassy in Beijing to Washington, D.C., and there's a couple of those along the exact same lines. Right? So the State Department knew that not only there's a potential for a lab leak, but there's a potential for a lab leak of bat coronaviruses from this one particular virology institute in Wuhan. All right, but now we're told no way COVID came from that lab. And if Trump even mentioned that it came from China, he was ripped apart by the media. You can't say anything bad about China anymore. It's unbelievable. Just ask LeBron. See, ask LeBron if he has any comments about anything regarding China, and he'll tell you, he'll tell you nothing. Just on China being gross. This is an article from 2013 in the Washington Post about Chinese street food vendors and their use of gutter oil. Have you ever heard of gutter oil? Watch this. That's a sewer. Putting it in a barrel. And then I will cut to the chase here, pouring it on your food or their food. So gutter oil is when you have enterprising young chaps like those two gentlemen, and they go through dumpsters and sewers, and they scoop out whatever liquid or animal parts they can find, and then they sell it to food vendors who use it to make street food. So just go ahead and Google the making of gutter oil for a disgusting 10-minute video. It's believed that 1 in 10 meals in China have been prepared with gutter oil. The place is gross, is what I'm getting at. So China has 2 of the highest level labs that exist, which 3 years ago, we said were understaffed with poorly trained scientists in a country known for, let's just put it as low food preparation standards. And how dare you question anything, you racist. That's the second point.
Wow, that was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.